Every citizen of Ghana of 18 years of age or above and of sound mind has the right to vote and is entitled to be registered as a voter for the purposes of public elections and referenda. Article 42 of the 1992 Constitution. And this is in Chapter 7 on representation of the people. Good afternoon and welcome to the law. This is your legal light. It is your health law. And this afternoon, I'm here with Mamavi, Owusu, Aboagye, Esquire.
Hello, Samson.
Hi. Good to see you here.
Same
right.
here.
So we are in elections. Of course, the elections just gone by. And a number of issues are coming up. The IGP says that they've arrested how many people? Some 123 plus persons have been arrested. Why have they been arrested? Because they have...
Well, they've gone against the electoral laws in one way or the other.
Exactly. And I think the dominant offense that you may have seen will be that of some intimidation. The party supporters have been doing something, particularly at the collation centers.
Yes.
What have they been doing?
They've either been preventing, as we've been told, presiding officers from going about their normal duties. In
Right.
some cases, from declaring the results.
Right. And you will see in your shot shortly, some of the places they've actually set ablaze. They've bent, electoral commission offices. In some other places, there was a lot of shouting, a lot of hooting, a lot of booing, and a lot of chanting that eventually led to some developments. And we have been told by some of the returning officers who are supposed to be declaring these elections that they were intimidated.
Yes, after declaring.
Intimidated to declare.
Intimidated to declare, and we only learnt about that after the declaration had been done.
And this is what is occasioning the Electoral Commission annulling some of these results and seeking to do recollation.
Right.
And the NDC says, hell no, there will not be recollation because there's a basis for that. Well, this afternoon, our interest is not in the politics. As you know, on the law, we give you platinum legal education. We are not interested at all about the politics. We are interested in learning the law. So that is why this is your legal light and it is your health law. So from what we just have been speaking about, perhaps let's begin. We are talking about election offenses.
Right.
Punishing them. Because if we don't punish them, the impunity will continue. So let's begin. And Mamavi and I, we have been reading the offenses. So we are going to share some of them with you, just to educate you. So let's begin by looking at the act of intimidation that has gone on. What will constitute intimidation in the eyes of the law for which you will be punished for that kind of conduct? What will constitute intimidation? Now, the major law governing what we do at elections, or on the back of which other legislations have been passed to guide elections, it begins with the Constitution. But after the Constitution, we passed another law. It is called the Representation of the People Law, 1992, PNDC Law 284. Now, because of the work that Justice Craft has done, we don't call it PNDC law anymore. We say an act, because it's just like any other law passed by Parliament. So let's begin from there. What the acts that we are seeing, whether or not they can be punished, and how should the police or law enforcement go about them in this manner. Let's look at section 40 of that law. It says obstruction of officers. A person who willfully obstructs or interferes with an election officer in the execution of duty commits an offence and is liable on conviction to a fine not exceeding 500 penalty units or a term of imprisonment not exceeding 2 years, or both the fine and the imprisonment. So take note of that. Section 40 is what I'm reading to you now. It says that a person who willfully obstructs or interferes with an election officer in the execution of duty commits an offense and is liable on conviction to a fine not exceeding 500 penalty unit. A penalty unit is 12 Ghana cedis. So multiply 12 Ghana cedis by 500, and you know the quantum that you could be asked to pay, or to a term of imprisonment not exceeding 2 years, or both the fine and imprisonment. So, Mamavi, if they go to the place, and as we heard them, they are shouting, declare now, declare now. And there are some of the sounds they will play to you. And people are on the election officers, you know, trying to disrupt what they are doing and so on. How does this law catch them? What is willfully obstructs or interferes the execution of the duty of the officer? How does it catch them?
Well, clearly, if you're making noise and you're putting pressure on the person who has the legal duty to perform what he's doing and you're not allowing him, you're clearly obstructing him.
Right. It must be willful. That's what the law says.
You're doing it willingly.
Willfully. So that's your intention, that you intend to obstruct them from carrying out their duty. We saw in, is it Aboagye Central? Or is it Okaikwe? Please share the footages with us. It's Aboagye Central. What did they do? They were damaging even electoral materials around the place. They were throwing chairs and destroying everything. And we saw at another place, they actually threw the ballot boxes, papers, threw them all over the place. Will this law catch them?
Yes, absolutely.
Willfully obstruct or interfere with an election officer in the execution of duty. So those who have been arrested in this regard, they are in trouble.
They are. And we've got, you know, what is interesting is that we keep saying that there's no expiry date to crime.
Correct.
So you may not have been caught. You may not be part of the over 100 persons who have been arrested. But if you are found in the video and the police decides to look for you, you'll be caught in this. And
it appears the police is doing a very good job with using videos and examining them. So sometimes they say, investigations are ongoing. Please relax. We should really relax, because sometimes it doesn't take too long and we find that through the video, they're able to fish out the people.
Right.
And they put some of the images out and say, help us to locate this person. Right. So for me, and for today's purpose, this is one of the laws that strikes at me and I feel all of us need to know about. Willfully obstructing or interfering with an election officer in the execution of their duty.
Right. There's a section, the section 31 of the same law that you talk about,
all right,
which has to do with the requirements of secrecy, that you cannot communicate information on voters.
Right.
There's a video going round as well. I don't know if you've spotted that, something about Cheddar and how he may have voted. There's this whole controversy on whether or not he voted for somebody else or he voted for himself.
Because he's holding the ballot box, ballot paper, and we know that Cheddar is not on the top.
Exactly.
We know he's far down there. Is he 12 or something?
Yes.
And yet he appears to be thumbprinting at the top and not down.
Yes.
And those who are doing so are seeking to embarrass him.
Exactly.
But beyond embarrassing him, you are suggesting they are trying to do what?
They're trying to reveal possibly how he may have voted.
They're trying to reveal how he voted.
Yes.
What exactly does the law say?
That's against the law because it says that you cannot communicate. And I am interpreting that to mean if you are sharing, you're zooming in. In fact, even the person who recorded that decided to spread it, and you're also spreading it, showing people how he may have voted. That would be going against this particular section.
Right, so let's read it. It says that an election officer, clerk, interpreter, candidate, election agent, or polling agent on duty at a polling station shall maintain and help in maintaining secrecy of voting and shall not, except for a purpose authorized by law, communicate to any other person an information as to 1. The name of a voter who has or has not applied for a ballot paper or voted at a polling station. Or 2. The number on the register of a voter who has or has not applied for a ballot paper or voted at a polling station. Or the official mark. A person present at the counting of votes shall maintain and help in maintaining the secrecy of voting. Once you are present at the counting of the vote, you shall help in maintaining the secrecy of voting and shall not communicate an information obtained at the counting of the vote as to the candidate for whom a voter is giving on a particular ballot paper. So you say those who took the images of Cheddar voting, attempted to disclose his vote, and they would have breached the secrecy rule.
Yeah. What do you think?
I think so, because the law says you should not disclose the vote or the person who is voting. It proceeds further to say a person shall not interfere with or attempt to interfere with a voter when the voter is recording the vote. So he was recording his vote. You don't interfere with it. Or obtain or attempt to obtain in a polling station information about the candidate for whom a voter in that station is about to vote or has voted for. So once you do disclose that you have obtained that information, he's trying to vote and you're obtaining the information about his voting. C. So if you have obtained that information, it says you should not communicate at any time to any other person an information obtained in a polling station about the candidate for whom a voter in that station has voted or is about to vote, or about the number on the ballot paper given to a voter at that station. So this is what it is. Do you think Cheddar himself is unhappy about this and the law enforcement is concerned at all that somebody tried to disclose his votes?
In fact, I wanted to ask you on the back of that if that right can be waived, because I'm also looking at a situation where he may have caused that recording to be done.
I suspect he caused the recording to be done. And principally, in law, if you have a right, which is given to you to enjoy, and you decide to waive the right, like in this manner, you will not be punished. The law says that you are entitled to be giving ex gratia at the end of your service as a president or a member of parliament. At the end of it, if you say, I don't want it, like Togbe Afede said once to the Council of State, we cannot say we'll punish you for saying you don't want your ex gratia.
Right.
The law says you are entitled to vote. If you decide that you don't want to vote, there's no punishment to it. Unlike other countries where not voting is actually a criminal offense by public law.
Right.
Yes, so to that extent, if it is found that he caused the recording, then it is not somebody who has attempted to disclose the secrecy of his vote.
Right.
But it is he himself who has done that. Because actually, the secrecy of your vote is even protected when you are facing like an inquiry. So If you look at section 24, it says a person who has voted at an election shall not be required to state for whom that person has voted in proceedings questioning the election. So if there's any proceeding in a court of law, you are not bound. You cannot be forced and compelled to disclose that I voted JM, or I voted Baumia, or I voted Cheddar, I voted Alan Shramating. You cannot be compelled.
Right.
So this is your right. But like you said, if you decide that on your own volition, without being forced, without being compelled, you want to disclose it, you can disclose it.
Right.
Like many of us do. We finish and we say, I voted for JKA. There's no crime in that.
Right.
Right. So that's an interesting one. Okay. I think the next one I would like to look at, it's something you have an interest in. I'll skip that and go to a next one. So this is the third offense that we are educating you on. Undue influence. That's section 35. A person commits the offense of undue influence if that person, directly or indirectly, or through another person, acting on that person's behalf, makes use of or threatens to make use of force, violence, or restraint, or inflicts or threatens to inflict on another person a temporal or spiritual injury. This part, when I get there, I pause.
Spiritual injury.
Spiritual injury, damage, harm, or loss, in order to induce or compel that person to vote or refrain from voting on an account of that person having voted or refrained from voting, or by abduction, duress, or fraudulent method, that person impedes or prevents the free exercise of the franchise of a vote. So there's also the offense called undue influence. And as the law says, the undue influence simply is that if you can be a candidate for the election, presidential, parliamentary, for as long as it's a public election. You could also be the supporter for a candidate or something of the sort, or whoever you are. Once you try, either directly or indirectly, directly is you yourself doing it, indirectly trying to do it through someone or through some other means. And what is the thing that you will do that will constitute an offense? You issue a threat, or you use force, or you use violence. What are you using it for? In order to induce or compel a person to vote or refrain from voting for a particular person. So I'm threatening you. If you do not vote for Bamia, you will be in trouble. Maybe he's a landlord. Yeah. If you do not vote for my candidate, you'll be evicted. That's threatening.
Yeah.
And the law says you have committed an offense, you'll be punished. I think there's a reason they brought a spiritual there. What do you think?
I'm just wondering how that can be proven. But I think it's also because we believe in the spiritual aspect of things.
You know the things that happen during the primaries?
Oh, yes, I do. I do. So if you take my money and you do not vote, I will take you to that place.
Exactly. People do Antoine and the rest of them. They give the money and say, if you don't vote for me, you should die. If you don't do this, you don't do that, then this law catches you. So either you're using force or violence, or you're actually using what it calls restraint. You are trying to restrain the person. It could also be that you're trying to deny them of something.
Right.
And on the basis of that, if they don't vote, then you will not let that happen to them. You will be caught and you will be punished. Interesting. Undue influence.
Undue influence, yeah.
I think it happens a lot in our elections, right?
It does.
Especially the primaries.
Yeah. Just one last one from me, because you mentioned undue influence. I also want to highlight Section 33, which is bribery, and just simply say that the giver and the recipients are all
guilty.
Guilty, exactly. And sometimes the promise of valuable consideration could also be a job that has been promised to you. Yeah.
So how does that manifest? Bribery. And you just use the legal terminology, valuable consideration promise.
Exactly.
How is that manifest?
So let me just read the section and then highlight it. A person commits the offense of bribery, A, if he directly or acting through another person gives money or obtains an office for a voter in order to induce the voter to vote or refrain from voting, or corruptly does such an act on account of a voter having voted or refrained from voting, or makes a gift or provides something of value to a voter to induce the voter to vote in a certain way or to obtain the election of a candidate.
Yeah. So we see this happening, right? I believe the reason some people want to take a screenshot of their vote is because they have taken money and they must go and show
evidence
that I actually voted for you, or that they have been promised, like you said, consideration. That is normally money, or it could be something else they have been promised. In the primaries, people are promised all sorts of things, right? Yes. Television sets. Some people are even giving some small cars. So
yes,
it's serious. Today, I'm hearing somebody say that each parliamentary candidate in the NPP spent not less than 10 million Ghana cedis from primaries to the election.
Wow, that's a lot of money. And that did not go into voter education alone.
Can you imagine?
It went into gifts.
Obviously, it had nothing to do with voter education. I know a place where they took some electrical gadgets. They were carrying television sets. The delegates, they came to a school, which is a grounds for the candidate to meet them.
Right.
And they took television sets. They took cookers. Some of them had all sorts of things, fans. And there were 2 rounds of that.
Wow.
One occasion, and then a next occasion. And then they had envelopes as well. The envelopes don't contain letters.
Obviously.
They contain money. Right, so if you take money to vote for someone, or you take money to refrain from voting for someone, you are committing bribery in elections, and you are guilty of an offense. And remember that the one who is giving, like Mamavi just said, is guilty as you, the one who is taking. So those of you who say, well, it's government money they've been spending. This is our time. Let us also enjoy, which you take. You are committing an offense. I like this other one too. It talks about personation.
Right.
I think we have done quite a bit through the Electoral Commission to cut away this kind of crime. Personation is a person where a person, it manifests in 2 forms. Where one, you present yourself at the registration or the, what do you call
it? The polling
station. Pretending to be
another
Samson
person.
When you are not Samson.
Right.
Maybe you have access to my credentials and you are pretending to be me when you are not me. Then that is personation. You are trying to impersonate me. That is an offense. And then it manifests in the second way this way, that someone is dead, for example, and then you pick their credentials and you go to vote in their name,
right,
even though they are dead. You could be in trouble. It happens a lot in the primaries, the party primaries. Yeah. People who are dead, they get other people to vote for them.
Wow.
Yeah. This will be punished and you will suffer. You're still here on The Law. It's your legal light. It is your help law. I'm Samson Anyenini, and she is
Mamavi, Owusu, Aboagye.
Right. So what's on your mind again?
Shall we go to the phone lines?
We should go to the phone lines soon, not now.
Okay. All
Right.
right. So we've talked about treating.
Treating.
Yes.
We have.
Have we touched on treating? So shall we go to
what animal
section
is that?
34?
What animal is that? Treating.
The offense of treating.
Treating on a hospital bed, like you are not well, and the doctor is attending.
This is pampering you at the polling station.
Oh, how? All right.
All right, so I think we have
treating,
that, yes.
That's up there. You can see it.
A person commits the offense of treating if that person corruptly or through another person before, during, or after an election gives or provides or pays wholly or in part the expenses of giving or providing meats, drink, entertainment,
You
or
mean
provision.
meat like nam,
Like chicken.
like fish?
Yes.
Oh, Jesus Christ. How is this going to be a crime? For taking meats.
Yes.
Okay, go on.
At least I think that will be it. We saw a little bit of it.
Meat, drink.
Yes, entertainments.
So like I take Coke, Fanta,
Yes.
malt,
Or even water.
entertainment. Okay, if I accept it, and it says, for the purpose of corruptly influencing that other person or another person to vote or refrain from voting, or on account of that person or another person having voted or refrained from voting or being about to vote or refrain from voting, or corruptly accept or takes meat, drink, entertainment or provision offered in the circumstances and for the purposes mentioned in paragraph A. This offense there is serious. But we heard somebody was driven away with their food. The
Yes,
election.
we heard, but we were also told that the target was not what was being speculated.
Was for agents.
Exactly. But agents are also voters, aren't they?
But there was someone earlier in the special voting.
Exactly.
Eh?
Exactly. The special
that was
voting.
where?
Ayawaso.
Ayawaso West.
West. Exactly.
Ma Lydia, right?
Yes.
Okay. She was distributing food to the security officials, media persons who were voting.
Who had queued up
Who had
exactly.
queued up to vote. It is not an offense, but the law says it is an offense if the purpose is to influence the person to vote in a certain way or to get them to refrain from voting in a certain way. Then it becomes an offense. Well, sometimes we hear when they actually package the food like that and they put it in nicely in a... Some of them, the packet is not actually a polythene bag. It's something really nice. It's not only food that is in it. There may be drink. Okay, drink is
Well,
possible.
because when you eat, you must drink.
Yeah, but beyond the drink, there is transportation. So why? These politicians are telling us that these security officials, they walked to the place to vote. They need transport to go back.
To go back, yes.
How about those whose offices or who live right by that polling station? What do they need the transportation for? So if the intention is to influence, then it is an offense.
But how do you prove that? When somebody says, for instance, that they requested for the drink or for the food.
The one voting
Yes.
made the request.
Yes.
Or after they voted, they made a request for the food and you give it to them. Then I think you will not be found guilty.
Right.
Right. So remember, criminal law, there have to be the intent and the act. The act is the giving. The intent is the mindset.
Corruptly
And that is
influencing.
normally difficult to prove. We call it what? Mens rea?
Yes. And I was also just going to say that this requires a high standard of proof because it's crime.
Right. Right. Because you must prove beyond
Reasonable doubt.
reasonable doubt.
Yeah.
And according to law, the smallest doubts must inure to the benefit of the person who is accused.
Exactly.
So they would rather be set free. Interesting. You're still here on the law. It's your legal light. It is your help law. We are giving education and trying to make it a little light so that you can consume what we are seeking to share with you. And after Mamavi shared that one, I would like to go to this one. It says, Section 36. We'll put it up again so you see. It says, interference with electioneering activities of other persons. 36. A person who, before or during an election, for the purpose of effecting or preventing the return of a candidate directly or indirectly, by words, whether spoken or written, song, sign, or any other representation in any manner whatsoever, seeks to excite or promote disharmony, enmity, or hatred against another person, group of persons, or political party on grounds of religious, tribal, professional, regional, or political affiliation, or organizes a group of persons with the intention of training, and so on. Yeah. So, how is this manifested? An election is going on. Then I am seen to be interfering with the electioneering activities because I come there and I'm chanting some songs, which is, you know, intended to excite or promote disharmony, enmity, hatred against another person or group. Then I will be guilty. Either I could also be showing a sign. It's written, maybe a billboard, or what do they know?
Yeah, like a sign post or something.
Yeah, a placard. Or I'm actually making a sign.
Okay.
Like a sign language, whatever it is. And the intention is that I'm promoting disharmony or enmity. Then I will be in trouble. I like them.
I do too.
Okay, so which one would you like to go to? Would you like us to go to? Before we will pick your calls, we are going to open the phone lines shortly for you to join us and ask questions. You can ask any question at all about election offenses, particularly those that you have experienced on election day, before election, during election, after election, however they manifest themselves. If you have a question, ask us, and then we will help to fetch the answer in law for you. Right, so where do you take us?
I want to highlight section 29.
29.
Unauthorized voting.
Whoa.
But that's close to something that you've shared already.
Right.
So let me just read it. Section 29, unauthorized voting, says a person who knowingly votes at an election at which he is not entitled to vote, or votes more than once at an election, commits an offense and is liable on conviction to a fine not exceeding 1 million cedis. But this is the old 1 million cedis, which is 100 Ghana cedis.
So the law is now rendered as not exceeding 500 penalty units. And remember, you can just do the calculation. 12 times 500. That brings you to, is it 600 or 6,000? Yeah, something of the sort. You will get that. And in addition to that, you are likely to go to jail for 2 years, maximum 2 years. You could get less. That is if you are lucky, right? Right.
Or so both.
6,000, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you could also be prevented from voting for a period of 5 years.
Right.
Yeah.
So actually for most of these offenses, election offenses, once you commit them and you are found guilty of them, there is an additional penalty you suffer for most of them. The additional penalty is that if you are put into jail, once you have finished serving your jail term, and the jail term is a maximum of 2
years.
There is only 1 or 2 instances where you could go for 3 years. Once you finish serving the jail term, you are banned from being registered to vote for 5 years. That is 2 election cycles in Ghana. You will not be able to vote.
That's a serious offense.
And that's good, isn't it?
It is.
So the law actually instructs the judges, the courts, that once they have done that, they should bring that information of your conviction to the Electoral Commission.
Oh, right.
So the Electoral Commission can flag your name if your name is in the election system.
That's really good.
Right. There was a primary for the NPP. I think that was in 2006 or 16. Maxwell Kofi Juma. He suffered this.
Right.
Yes. He he went about destroying, I think, the election material in the Asokwa area, where he himself was, you know, a member before, and got into trouble. And the court convicted and fined him accordingly.
We should see more of this happening,
Yeah,
especially with the recent evidence
that's right.
that we have.
That's right. Those who are destroying the election materials, ballot papers, it's an offense, and it's not allowed by the law. Let's all learn to respect the law so that we will not suffer some of these things. Apart from ballot material, the Section 38, a person who without lawful excuse destroys, mutilates, defaces or removes a notice which is exhibited under the authority of this act or of the regulation, or a document which is made available for inspection under this act or of the regulations, commits an offense and is liable on conviction to a fine not exceeding 200 penalty units, this is less, or to a term of imprisonment not exceeding 6 months or both. So those of you who are fond of, you know, defacing, removing the notices.
Notice of poll.
Yes, the EC will do the notice, correct. You call it notice of poll.
Yeah.
They'll do it, they put the images of the candidates there, and because you hate somebody, you go and tear them up. It is wrong. It's not allowed by law. It's prohibited, so you could find yourself on the wrong side of the law. Where would you like to take us? We have a bit more time before we take calls.
Okay,
Maybe
so
3 minutes.
so I just returned from section 29. I think
Correct.
it's your turn now to take us somewhere.
Okay, since you did 29, let me go to 39.
Okay.
False statement. A person who before or during an election for the purpose of effecting or preventing the election of a candidate makes or publishes or causes to be made or publishes or published by words, whether written or spoken, by song or statement, which is false or which that person knows or has reason to believe is false in relation to the personal character of another candidate or the conduct of a political party, commits an offense. This is happening quite widespread, but we don't seem to focus on it.
Right.
When you hear some of the commentary that is made about, say, any of the candidates, either the candidate for president or candidate for parliament, the things that people say about them, some of them are completely false. It says either you write it, you speak it, or you put it in a song. Some actually compose songs. In fact, on social media, there has been some advertisements. I think beyond social media, in fact, on traditional media, there's been some advertisements that seeks to assassinate the character of the candidate. To the extent that the information you are using is false about the candidate. You can be punished criminally, even though they have a right to do a civil action in defamation against you.
Right.
So,
how about the medium? How about the medium?
So here it talks about if you, the person, before or during the election, for the purpose of preventing the election of that candidate, because you want people to vote against that person, you make or you publish or you cause to be published. You cause to be published in words, written or spoken by song or a statement, which is false. And you know it to be false, or you believe it to be false in relation to the personal character of that candidate, and you still go ahead to do it, you are committing an offense. So the medium is the medium that does the publication. So if I am the one saying it, and I said it in my bedroom, of course nobody will hear. So if you gave me the opportunity on your platform to say it, then you should also be liable.
Right.
Right. Okay. I think at this point, we'll pause a lot of the talking and hear you. So call us. The phone lines are advertised on your screens. We are talking about election offenses. Of course, there are offenses against the election officials themselves. The things that when they do, they also get punished. But for now, our focus has been on you, the one who is not an officer, who just goes to vote, and the things that you can find yourself in trouble for. So call us. The phone lines are open, as you can see them on your screen. Ask any question as far as it concerns elections and what you think may not be right, but is being done. Mamavi, but this representation of the people law that we have been using, there's an interesting section 42, is there not?
Section 42.
An interesting section 42. And Mamavi is going to share it with you. And you see that it's one of the difficult things.
Consent to prosecute.
Who is calling from Medina? Suleimana. Hi, Suleimana. Good afternoon. Hello, Suleimana.
Yes, good afternoon.
Please speak up.
Yes, so, yes, I can hear you. So you were saying that if you cause damage to any, let's say, poster, you'll be held, the law will catch up with you.
Correct.
So let's say when a candidate did not also sit for your, and then you come and paste, let's say, their posters on your facility, let's say.
I can't hear you. Speak up.
I'm saying that, let's say, a candidate comes to paste his posters on your facility, building or whatever.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Can you also take that person on?
Well, if they are posting on your building, they need your permission to do so. So they cannot do so. So if you take it down, you have every right to take it down. Thank you. Who else is on the line? Please call us. But 42, what's the interesting
42 says, no person shall be prosecuted for an offence under this law without the consent in writing of the Attorney General, except that this section shall not prevent a person being charged with such an offence or arrested with or without warrant in respect of the offence or remanded on bail or in custody in respect of the offence without the consent of the Attorney General.
So the police can arrest you.
Yes.
They can charge you. But they can't prosecute you.
Without the written consent of the Attorney General.
The Attorney General must say, go ahead and prosecute the guy. If the Attorney General doesn't do it, there can't be prosecution.
Yes.
But is it good or bad?
Because of the officers, because of the Law Officers Act, after this call, I'm sure we can do a little explanation, because it must not necessarily take the Attorney General, as in the Attorney General and his deputies, to give consent.
It says the Attorney General. So unless it's delegated, you can't do anything. Who is on the line? Hi, Jonah. Jonah, you're calling from Kwanta North. Go ahead.
Yeah. Please, I want to find out if a candidate arranged for a buses for electorate to go and vote, is he an offense?
If a candidate arranges bus,
yes,
for
bus electorate to go and vote,
okay,
is he also an offense?
So the arrangement is that you are going to vote and you are entitled to vote for whoever you want to vote for, correct?
Yes.
Okay. The candidate is not asking anybody who is joining that bus to vote for a particular person, correct?
Maybe it counts, let's assume a particular...
We are not assuming. I ask you a direct question. So answer that and let's proceed.
Yeah, that's a candidate arranged for bus that you are going to vote. Definitely you may
I heard that. I heard that.
Yeah, okay.
He is not asking you to vote for him because he has organized the bus for you, right?
Okay.
No, it's not okay. It's a question. Okay, so let me proceed.
I'm not sure he quite understands.
If he does not, the person who arranged the bus is a candidate. There is a presumption that he definitely wants you to vote for him. If he, in arranging the bus, he tries to say things or make demands that go to the point of suggesting that you must vote for him or you must not vote for the other candidate, then this law is breached and it is an offense for which that candidate has to be held and punished for. But you and I know that we are in Ghana. When the candidate organizes the bus for you, they actually give you money again. Give you extra money, or they feed you again and say, you are going, I'm the one who did it for you, vote for me. Hello, Beatrice, you're calling from Pokwasi. What's your question?
Yeah, good afternoon.
Let's hear your question.
My question is, before the election, there was a gentleman who was going around in one of the TV stations in Kumasi, and he was telling voters that on the side we are going to vote for a particular candidate, the point they are going to vote for a particular candidate, and the man has been arrested and is released. Is there something that they are going to do to that particular man?
That is campaigning. He's saying vote for a particular candidate, correct?
He was saying on the 7th we are going to vote for candidate 1, and then the following day, candidate 2.
Yeah. That's.
Do you remember that?
That's Oheneba. What is his name again?
Yes,
Oheneba Radio.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, he's been arrested. He's being prosecuted. He's been granted bail. So the trial will go on, as we understand.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The crime. I think the offense that he's been charged was that of that borders on misinformation, section 208 of the Criminal and Other Offences Act. It says that if you publish information which you know is false, and because what he was doing was peddling falsehood.
Publication of false news.
Yes.
Yeah, publication of false news, right? Okay. Right.
We need to follow that matter to the letter. I'll be following up for it.
I see.
Thank you.
You have work to do.
Which is a good thing,
I
really.
just want to see how it goes.
Because failure to prosecute would lead others doing even a lot more of what we have seen happening.
It creates room for impunity. Section 208, you're about reading it.
A person who publishes or reproduces a statement, rumor, or reports which is likely to cause fear and alarm to the public or to disturb the public peace, knowing or having reason to believe that the statement, rumor, or report is false, commits a misdemeanor.
Right. So potentially he could go to jail for 3 years.
Up to 3 years.
Felix, you're calling us from the voter region. What's your question?
Yes, my issue has to do about your phone line set. I was trying the one you published on the screen, which ends with 1. But when I changed it to 2, I was able to get through. So I don't know.
Sorry, I didn't hear your questions. Come again. Oh, he's gone. Mamavi, do you hear me?
No, I did not. Apologies there.
Sorry, I was also listening to the production. They were speaking to me, so I'm sorry. He just left. What did he say? Maybe someone else is coming. I understand that, we have only 2 lines that's actually working, and so there's a difficulty. There are too many of you behind the phone. You have to be patient with us, very patient with us. Hi, Julius.
Yeah, hello.
Go ahead.
Yeah, this is Julius.
Go ahead with your question.
Yeah, first of all, I want to congratulate Mamavi on the new profile.
Thank you.
Yeah, and also with Mama Lydia's case, she dished out the gift before the electorate voted. So it's a clear indication that she was trying to point at a particular direction as you go into the voting. So there is nothing else to say. There's something, I think some time ago, you had a program, I think on this very program, the law is an act or something. We have to be very careful with some of our laws, else we will not get any culprit. We bring the laws and then it's so cumbersome, so gray, such that you see that this is going to this direction, but the law says otherwise. We have to check some of these things.
The point you are making, the point you are making, the law does not only say it should have been done before. Even if the gift is given after you have voted, and the intention is to induce the voter, it is still a crime. Go on with your second question quickly, because there are many people behind the lines.
Of course. And the second one, with the Yeezys, what they are doing now, what do we say about that? Is what the Yeezy doing lawful?
What is he doing?
When votes or results have been declared, whether they were done under duress or by force or something, once there is a form of declaration, when you have ruled in some time past that, and after there has been a declaration, it should go to court. Now you are saying something contrary to that earlier, ruling you gave in 2020.
Thank you. Your point is well noted. Thank you very much. Let's go to the next person. Let's give an opportunity to somebody else. Hello, Theophilos. You're calling from Dupe. Hello, Theophilos.
Hello, good afternoon.
Yeah, go ahead with your question.
Johnson, my question has to do with Section 34 of Act and I want to hinge that on what happened at Owusu Westwalk during the special vote. You partly answered the question, you and Mamavi. Now, when you read the section very well, it mentions the provision of meat, drink. It does not mention food. But in the video for children, where the MPP candidate was distributing food,
okay, we are losing you, but we understand your point. You are saying that because she was giving food, she's not caught by the law. Is that it? Is that your point?
The act did not mention food. It mentioned drink.
Thank you.
Mentioned meat.
Thank you. So she's not caught by the law. That's your point, right?
I need clarification on that.
Thank you very much.
The next question is on Section 39, false statement. False statement. It says, if we read 39(1), it creates an offense of false statement, but it does not create a penalty for that offense.
All right.
I need clarification on that as well.
Thank you very much. Okay, so when you see here that a particular penalty is not stated, the offense, the general offense and penalty prescription provision provides for a penalty of not, a fine of not less than 500 penalty units or plus a term of imprisonment of not more than
2 years.
2 years. So that is what will apply. In respect of food, Mamavi, it's an interesting question he asked, but that's difficult, isn't it? To say it is not food, it says meat or drink, so food is not involved. But it says any form of entertainment.
Exactly, it falls into that general category.
Right. So there shouldn't be any confusion about that. Not at all. And the question before that, who else is on the line? Too many of you on the line now. Blessed.
Bless.
Okay, bless. Volta raging. I think the other question was about the EC recollation processes.
Yes.
We will not forget to come to it. Yes, go ahead, bless.
Okay, please. My question is about the false statement.
False statement. What about it?
Yes, Bless Agbenafa.
What about the false statement? What about the false statement?
Yes, please. Regarding the false statement, when somebody published, and then one of the articles read that when somebody published false statement regarding the election, that is maybe after the election, then somebody published a false statement. What happens to the person? Because there was an incident when Miracle Aboagye announced during the press conference that MPP was leading, which brings a lot of panic, and then within the whole country that expectations were high that NDC would definitely be leading Michael Aboagye, which is one of the communication officers, made a statement that
Thank you.
NDC
Thank you. The point is noted. Thank you very much. The point is noted. When the election is going on and people have their results, and on the basis of their results, they are saying that we are leading, we are winning, you cannot punish them. There's no crime. Should there be a crime for that?
Well, it will be hard to prosecute.
He's saying it's false, but you may not be able to say it's false because they say at the time they were saying
exactly.
so, their results show that they were leading.
I don't think you can.
And it is possible, right?
Yeah, it is. Absolutely.
It depends on how they started their collation. If they started their collation from Ashanti region, they will be leading.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
There was an issue about the recollation, but specifically on the declaration and the position that the EC has taken now.
Right. So the CI 127 2020 is a law that is used to regulate this election and the previous election in 2020. And that CI in regulations 42, 43, including regulation 50, which is the interpretation, says that the collation has to be done in a constituency. So first, collation has to be done in a constituency of the constituency result. And we know that that's what it is. Let me not drag it. It must be done in a constituency. Then second, at the regulation 43, more specifically, I suspect, gives the returning officer for that constituency the power to first assemble the ballots, or as it were, the numbers of votes that have been brought and put on the various pink sheets. It's a form. There's a form D1 and D so on and so forth. And to collate them and to pronounce who has won. Once the returning officer does so, it is a closed book. Then the representation of the people's law says that if anybody is aggrieved by that declaration, then they have to go to a court after 21 days after the Electoral Commission has gazetted it. Yeah. So I think Mamavi wanted to read some provisions.
No, not exactly.
Okay.
Just basically saying what you're saying.
Right.
But can the EC by itself say that it was declared wrongly and so we're going to
that's
collate it again?
That's what the EC is doing now. I mean, from a pure legal standpoint, if there is a declaration, however faulty the declaration is, the EC does not have power to annul a result. If what the EC is doing is say, I'm annulling it, the EC doesn't have power to do an annulment. The only entity that has power to do annulment is the High Court.
Who has the power to say it was done correctly or not?
Courts. What will be your final comments?
I wish we had time to talk about the prophecies. There is actually a man who says if the NDC won, he should be lynched, he should be stoned, and he gives a location, which is the Obra spot. He says, I'm going to present myself, beat me, do whatever it is you want to do with my body.
Nobody should.
And my question is, would you be committing a crime if you did that?
Volunteer non-fit injury. No, when you contribute to it, it may not be a crime, but please, don't touch him. If you touch him, you'll be committing a crime, actually. It doesn't matter that he has said so. So I hope we have attempted to serve you quite a bit. And next week, we promise to do something. The transition process.
Exactly.
What is the law about the transition and how does it work?
Yeah.
Some of you are Googling up the law, but portions of the law have been struck down by the Supreme Court. Did you know? So we will share with you on the transition next Sunday. This has been the law. It's your legal light. It is your help law. I'm Samson Anyenini.
And my name is Mamavi Aboagye. Thank you, Samson, for this.
Thank you, Mamavi. I enjoyed it.